Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai 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 Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai 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 Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Hari Om Hari Om Hari Om Pranam 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 Yesterday, Papa was directing our attention to improve the quality in chanting. No? any name of God when we chant, how are we to feel His presence? It should be there in our heart, so that the chanting does not take place for the mere chanting. Has it kindled any thought in anybody?
We become watchful, Swamiji.
Pardon?
Watchful. We become watchful.
Yes, that is important. That is the one which we are all pining, trying, Sakshi Bhava. When the chanting goes on, slowly the witness consciousness wells up. The moment this awareness of witness consciousness leaves us, it limits to mere chanting. So Papa, in one of his quotations, has specifically mentioned this. So if the chanting paves the way for the emergence of the witness consciousness, that consciousness itself is realization. So when we chant, if this is maintained, at least during that period, the mind is slowly being trained to get absolute concentration on the sound. And when the concentration comes, automatically the witnessing starts. Anything else?
I mean, when we ourselves are the witness consciousness, how to observe the witness consciousness in us, Swamiji?
When we close our eyes, when we chant, when we try to hear our own chanting, then see for yourself what happens. We should hear our own chanting. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. In any raga, that is okay, where the mind attunes itself. Then what happens? We call it as witness consciousness, but it cannot be explained further, It is past words. When something is beyond the purview of words, it cannot be put in words. But since we have only this vehicle called the thought, we are trying to put some words approximating to the experience. So witness consciousness, let us not think it literally, that awareness wells up. But we can go near to it by terming it as Sakshi Bhava. That is how everywhere they have used the word Sarvadi Sakshi Bodham.
Swamiji, when we chant, and some days we are full, some days we feel inadequate. That itself is a witness consciousness. That tells me that.
We have to immediately feel. Last Sunday or yesterday, when the chanting was going on, the mind was getting absorbed in it, but today it is highly disturbed. Immediately we stop. Who is commenting this? Don't answer. No? Who is commenting this? We try to go. Because everywhere he is only he is there, in the form of disturbance, in the form of concentration. But as a sadhaka, we are supposed to sift and identify that which enables us to concentrate. So when it refuses, we immediately ask this question, who is now complaining that it is today's Nama chanting is disturbed? Then what happens, that will give us the answer. Again, let not the intellect interpret it. This is a pursuit. The churning goes on like this. He gives the label of excellent chanting and also the another label called disturbed chanting. Oh, what for? We don't know. So we ask him, why did you? Who named it as disturbed? So this is how we try to go within. So that means, in another word, there is no roadblock anywhere. Papa says, God-realisation does not mean that we are to become something that we are not. God-realisation does not mean that we are to become something that we are not. We are only to become what we really are. We are in truth the self or the Atman, which is divine. By thinking of God constantly, we can realize our oneness with Him. What do we generally think ourselves to be? We think we are the body and nothing more. We think only of sense objects because our mind dwells upon the body. When the body is affected by diseases, we feel we are sick. When death comes to the body, we take it that we die. So Ramnam, Ram is not different from us, from our real self. He is seated within ourselves. When we repeat his name with all love and faith, he manifests himself within us in all his splendor and enables us to merge our little self into his all-pervading being. Therefore, it is said that external worship should end in internal worship. External worship is a means to realize the divine within us. But we cannot at once go within to find him. It is difficult. So we begin with external worship, do puja to an image or a picture of God, thus awaken him in our heart. The external aid is necessary before we can see him within us. Ultimately, we have to see that our inner self and the all-pervading self are one and the same.
Swamiji, externally, the Guru or God will have a different form than I.
No.
I also have a form.
No.
My Guru, my Master has a form. Externally, they are different. When I realize him internally, both I and my Master, Guru are same. Am I right?
The inner Guru, actually the inner Guru names the outer Guru, which we are not aware. We concentrate on the form of the outer Guru, and later on when we feel we are not reveling in the same experience as he is reveling, so we immediately go within and find out. Then the revelation comes that he was drawing the needed inspiration from the inner Guru. So outer Guru is necessary until that moment. Worship of outer form is necessary until we are awakened.
So Swamiji, when we say Mirena Gati Prabhuji, Koi Prabhu Samana, means not the outer form, correct?
Means not the outer form. Milanyagati Prabhuji, it means not the outer form. It is
Behind, not the outer form. In the out, when we reach that stage, then we will not feel the outer and the inner. Until we reach, until we reach the level of experience, we have to hold on to the inner. And when we reach that state, there won't be any inner or outer. That is the beauty of self-realization. But until such time, we have to somehow direct our attention to within.
That is what is mentioned in that na bhed.
Na bhed, correct.
Sadhaka.
Yeah. But until such time, we cannot just put our mind on the high pedestal and then try to interpret. No. That is the interpretation of the intellect. So now we are trying now to, from the outer to the inner, and we must have the glimpse of that presence of that indwelling reality. Then we try to get ourselves stabilized in that. Then what happens is, why should we unnecessarily now form a concept? Up to this, we will now have a concept that our whole attention is to be now on realizing the inner reality. So now I should be able to divert all my Ramnam toward this. That is why he put it in a simple form. I am chanting the name of one who is within me, who is making me to chant.
Swamiji,
that 2 words is enough.
At the time of chanting intensely, when you close your eyes and then have the Ramnam chanting, the different forms of the different gurus come in between and dances between the eyes, before my eyes. Is it correct?
Immediately you ask,
Yes. I see Swami Satchidananda, I see Swami.
It is all right.
Okay. So many
You immediately ask who is now telling that along with the chanting that I am seeing the form of.
Each chanting, each guru comes.
But as far,
am I correct in that?
There is no question of correct or not. No, it happens.
It happens.
It happens. Now we are trying to understand how to interpret it. How are we to know that he is still there? He is still there. Whether this form comes or that form comes, he is still there. So we are turning our attention towards him. See, ultimately I started Ramnam only to feel your presence. Why are you coming this? Then the answer will come to us in its own way. He may have some reason to bring the form before you.
Can I consider it as a blessing of so many different things?
It is all the play of the mind,
Yes.
It is all the play of the mind which gives you some temporary joy. Ultimately, we should not be. We should take it that anything that stays with us, anything that gives us abiding feeling, that which comes and goes, that which shifts from form to form, it will give us some joy, but not permanent joy. So we keep on praying to him. Okay, that is also all right. You want to, but I want that which is always with me. You are always with me, but I want that experience which confirms or which makes me aware that you are always with me. Let us be blunt, how we feel in our own language. I know that you are there, but I must have a glimpse of your presence direct, so that I know that apart from me, I have got a feeling of myself. Apart from this me, you are also there. Intellectually I know, but experientially I must experience. This sort of approach might be helpful rather than getting stuck to any forms. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Swamiji, you will explain what is, when you say emptiness is fullness, Mataji used to say Khali Pat, Khali Swarupa. Will you, that emptiness, how to achieve that emptiness?
Emptiness can be achieved only by stilling the mind, you know. Emptiness cannot be seen by filling so many things. By emptying the vessel, we come to know it is empty. So, though our mind says we are in the process of emptying, we are again filling with thoughts. So, what is needed is stilling the mind. Stilling the mind is emptying the mind. Emptying of all the knowables. It is not void. It is the void in which everything exists. That which contains our thought, you know. So that is to be removed. Then the emptiness will not be emptiness, it will be full. So that means stillness. So Papa wants us to, with the chanting of Ramnam, we are trying to eliminate all other thoughts with the help of Ramnam, and the Ramnam also stops.
So Swamiji, Ramnam sort of displaces all the thoughts?
Yes, because mind cannot exist without thought. Mind is nothing but thought flow. So first of all, straight away we cannot do that. So to eliminate all other thought, we use this thought. We concentrate on this thought. By concentrating on Ramnam, all other thoughts get slowly fade away and only Ramnam goes on. At that time, as you said just now, the witness consciousness slowly emerges by itself. Then the Ramnam stops. We are not stopping. It has done its job and taken us to the sanctum sanctorum. And again we are back. But now when we are back, it is not the old self.
Sure.
Think about it. Now, this is a process which we have to go through and find out. Explanation can never give us any answer.
Also, Swamiji, when the chanting goes on mentally, very peacefully, and sometimes the chanting stops, when the chanting restarts with silent chanting, we know we are disturbed. When it is undisturbed, either it is mental chanting or no chanting. But when it comes back to a thought flow has entered, then the chanting starts a little verbally, little whispering. This is what I have observed. I don't know whether it is right.
No. See, just again think. We are trying through some method to have the stillness. So we know that is the base from which thought also comes out. So even the thought that has the label of disturbing thought, you know, it has come from there only. So immediately we try to go to the source of that thought, which names itself or qualifies itself as a disturbed thought. This is an internal process. That is why if it is difficult, we try to bring a form and prostrate, hold the feet and pray to the form. I am unable to proceed further in the Nirguna Tattva attitude. So kindly show me some way out. Again we catch hold of the Saguna Tattva, and the Saguna Tattva again leads to Nirguna Tattva. That means our Guru or the deity to whom, Every now and then we can, nothing wrong in it, until we get stabilized. Because this is abstract, this is no name and no form. So naturally the mind cannot easily concentrate upon a nameless, formless truth. Actually, it should stop all its sankalpa vikalpas, then only we will be able to. But to stop it, some technique is necessary which is not in our hand. So we try, this should be very clear to us, that's all. God is beyond all thoughts. We cannot put him, we cannot bring him into the picture through a thought. Every day we are praying, Oh, beginningless and endless Param Puja Papa, you are all pervading. You have manifested as the entire universe. If you have manifested as the entire universe, how can it be true? Just like the space. Space cannot be pointed out, but without space nothing exists. So something like that we have to develop. And proportionate to the intensity, our own path will be revealed to us. So long as we don't look up to outside factors. That is why he has been stressing about inner guidance. Effort is needed to know the effortless, When it is an effortless, because original nature is effortless. But to know that, we have to put in the effort.
So a thought is required to know the thoughtless.
Through the thought only we can go, No other way, no other vehicle is there.
It's a cyclic process.
So Nama chanting should be taken up with this attitude. Contemplating, and in Papa's words, reflective and contemplative, meditative.
When the entire mind is filled with Ramnam, thought of Ramnam, there is no space for any other thought to enter. The mind is already filled.
Perfectly all right. What happens after chanting stops?
You have to continuously try this.
So with the Ramnam chanting, we are trying to clear our mental space. It is filled, we feel it is filled with Ramnam. No other thoughts are intruding. But the moment we stop the chanting, what happens? Whatever we have cleared, has it been cleared forever? Or it has been shifted to some other room, and as soon as we stop, the same thing comes back again to the room? If that is so, then we have to devise some other method. When we have cleared the room, the space, it should not be again reoccupied by whatever it had.
It means it's still.
So that means when Ramnam has occupied the mind space, Ramnam stays there forever. Whatever may be our outer activities. At the subtle level, we are always conscious of Ramnam. That is what is needed.
That should be our prayer, Swami.
That is our prayer. Gandhiji specifically, Ramnam has to be consecrated, installed within us.
Swamiji, in Quest of God, chapter number 29, page number 120. I got one doubt, Swamiji. Can I ask you?
Chapter number?
29.
Chapter number 29,
Doubt.
page number 120.
Page number 120.
Sadhu losing 20 rupees and complaining to the police inspector and all that. And all others are harassed. This situation has come in our real life so many times, Swamiji. So what should we understand from the no fault of ours, we are intimate by other people. Even put in jail also without our no fault. So what do you understand? What we can understand from this? What Papa indicates? Can you tell me something from this?
When we go to the first article, not first chapter.
First chapter.
Papa has reached that stage, so he says, hatred, which means consciousness of diversity, ceases. Love, consciousness of unity, is realized. This divine love can be attained by humbling ourselves to such a degree as to totally subdue our egoism, our self-assertion as a separate individual existence. Having reached this stage, we, by the awakened consciousness of unity of love, are naturally prompted to sacrifice all the interests that concern the body for the welfare of our fellow men and fellow creatures, who are all manifestations of the same Ram. So a spiritual aspirant will be put to test. We are not asking everybody to apply this in their own life. When the stage comes only, they will start thinking. So now when we have been trying to understand that He is there in everybody, and in me also, and He is trying to put me on the rails by making me to go through positive and negative experiences, and He is watching whether I hold on to the me and mine or I sacrifice for the welfare of others. That is the real test. From another angle, whatever here the person who complained, merchant, whatever he has done is right. But again, God made him to realize, God made Papa to observe, God made him to realize that though he was right in lodging the complaint, ultimately it resulted in creating inconveniences to many innocent people. So what are we to do? So that is why in the first instance, Papa was viewing it from that level, that even if something we have lost, we will sacrifice it. We cannot advise anybody to do it. It is purely from inside one should feel. And because each one is governed by the Swadharma. Suppose you are working in a company and suppose something is lost, you have to lodge a complaint. Because you are handling somebody's. You are the custodian of somebody's. There the dharma changes. But when it happens to me as a spiritual aspirant, I take it as a test on me, whether I identify myself to me and mine or sacrifice. That first line is very, very, first line, the first article, if you go through it again and again and again, it has given us how this becomes a manual of life. He says, I will read it again. It was about 2 years ago, in 1920, that Ram first kindled in the heart of his humble slave Ramdas a keen desire to realize his infinite love. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. These are all vanishing forms, Think.
Not Shashwata.
Not Shashwata. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms, because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Birthless and deathless is He. He is present in all things and in all creatures, who only appear as separate entities due to their ever-changing forms. To wake up from this illusion of forms is to realize at once the unity or love of Ram. Love of Ram means love of all beings, all creatures, all things in this world. How the clarity he got, never it is centered on one particular object of worship. Love of Ram means love of all beings, all creatures, all things in the world, in this world, because Ram is in all is in Ram. And Ram is all in all. To realize this great truth, we, who through ignorance feel as separate individuals, should submit ourselves to the will and working of the infinite power, the infinite Ram. This is what we are made to go through different types of experiences. We should submit. We should submit to ourselves to the will and working of that infinite power, infinite love Ram, who is one and all pervading. By a complete surrender to the will of Ram, we lose consciousness of the body which keeps us aloof from Him and find ourselves in a state of complete identification with Ram, who is in us and everywhere around us. In this condition, hatred, which means consciousness of diversity, ceases, and love, consciousness of unity, is realized. This divine love can be attained by humbling ourselves to such a degree as to totally subdue our egoism, our self-assertion, as a separate individual existence. From there only all problems start. Our self-assertion has a separate individual existence. So when we have reached that stage, having reached this stage, by humbling ourselves to such a degree, we, by the awakened consciousness of unity or love, are naturally prompted to sacrifice all the interests that concern the body for the welfare of our fellow men and fellow creatures, who are all manifestations of the same Ram. This was the great sacrifice of Buddha, of Jesus, and has been of Mahatma Gandhi in our own times. These three great men are the fullest manifestations of Ram, the great truth, the infinite love. Om Shri Ram. So the answer for this... So from one level, the merchant was right, but God made him to realize. The merchant friend who was looking upon the inquiry set on foot by him had got disgusted with it all and was in a penitent mood because he saw that many innocent people were being harassed for the sake of his loss. The money found upon the villagers and their tickets are also wrested from them and kept by the police, and were only returned to the owners after they had passed several stations. Meanwhile, the incident caused a great deal of annoyance and anxiety. Now the merchant came to Ramdas, giving him a namaskar. Maharaj, fool that I was, not to have listened to your golden advice. What was his advice?
Not to complain.
What shall I do? Since you asked for his advice, Papa did not volunteer. Just imagine. Since you asked for his advice, he requests you to keep mum over the affair. No good fretting or making a fuss over the matter. As regards the ticket, you may travel to your destination without one. On the way or at the alighting station, if the ticket is demanded of you by the railway officers, you can explain to them the way how you lost the purse and the ticket. As a proof of this, you may show them the torn vest pocket. So he says, fool that I was not to have listened to your golden advice. Behold, what a mess I have made of the whole matter. To how many innocent men I have caused pain. Pardon thy slave. Praise you, pardon of Ram, O friend, was Ramdas's only reply. By this occurrence, Ram taught Ramdas a beautiful moral that he should not commit at any time the blunder of carrying or owning money which means nothing but trouble and mischief. Rightly it is said, money is the root of all evil. So the whole thing, Papa says that we will be able to get over this by constantly remembering Ram. And for constantly remembering Ram, Ramnam has been given to us. So ultimately it zeroes everything to Ramnam.
This was discussed now.
Yes.
Second.
Papa Ramdas told us to acquire the taste of sweetness of Ramnam. How to acquire the taste or sensory experience for something which has not been experienced before. Like some Western music or modern arts, it's all a piece of sound or crunch of colors. I couldn't appreciate its taste and enjoy them. In a similar manner, though I understood the importance, value, sanctity of God's name, I am unable to acquire taste for it as we acquire knowledge through reading or hearing. What are the sadhanas to acquire or initiate or discover the taste for God's name? I could mechanically chant many number of times, but to get the sense of sweetness, what should I do? A fundamental question. At the time of initiation, Papa talks about the sweetness of Ramnam. He says, why we are not experiencing the sweetness? So he gives the example of sugar. Sugar by nature, it is sweet. But when the same sugar is put in the mouth of a man who is having a fever, the same sugar tastes bitter. He throws it away. So that means the man is diseased. Then he goes to a doctor. And the doctor prescribes the medicine and he takes it. Not that he meets the doctor, it goes. Not that one dose or two, no. Whatever the doctor prescribes, he does it. And when he gets over the fever, the sugar again becomes sweet. So Papa clearly mentioned, sweetness cannot be tasted until the low passions are still existing in our mind. That means the sense organs are pulling us to different sense objects. Nothing wrong in it, that is the job of the sense organs. But when we attach importance, when we attach that this is good, this is bad, this is enjoyable, this is miserable, then the problem comes. So the low passions, when they occupy our mind space, the sweetness of Ramnam cannot be experienced. That means our mind should become pure. So when he keeps on talking about sweetness, immediately we look back to ourselves and find whether the mind is becoming free from cravings. It's a tough job. Even if the craving goes out, it will again come. So we have to do some nirantara abhyas and self-denial, simple living habits, free from grumblings and complaints, less and less of me and mine, more and more of we and us, right company. These are the things which will help us to lessen the influence of these low passions. And he is telling about sweetness after having gone through all this. You have got that mantra initiation here?
Yes, it is.
Then learn.
In the book, huh?
No, that is enough. So he says, Ramdas can tell you this much, that from the very time he started repeating the name, he began to feel the sweetness of it. So he used to pray to God. He does not want anything else, only he wants your name. Let your name be ever on his tongue. It is because it is so sweet. So it proved to be not a means to an end, but an end in itself. This is the wonder about the name which he is repeating. Then he says, it depends upon the repeater, of course. So it is not general. Unless we are free from the low passions of the heart, we cannot taste the sweetness of the name. Unless we are free from the low passions of the heart, we cannot taste the sweetness of the name. Sugar is sweet. By nature it is sweet. It can never be bitter. So the name is by nature sweet. But when the sweet sugar is put in the mouth of a man who is having some kind of fever, he finds the taste not sweet but bitter. He throws it away. That shows the man is diseased. When we are diseased with low desires, the name does not taste sweet to us. We must go to a doctor who can cure us of that disease. The doctor is the Guru, who by his presence removes our disease of desires and gives us the nectarian name. And you find that instant it is sweet, and sweetness comes to you as long as you are going on repeating the name, until at last you become sweetness itself. Not merely the taster of the sweetness, but sweetness itself. So you drink and drink and drink the name until the drinker and the drink become one. Ramdas will chant the mantra given to him. So it is very clear now. No? If I complain that why I am not in a position to hold on to the name, it is because my mind has to purge out still some more lurking low passions. That means anything that concerns the pleasure of the body. Then I will not taste sweet, because Ram is sweetness itself. He is within us. So if to remember him I am chanting, but if all these things are within me, how can I taste? Just like that with fever, I will not be able to taste the sweetness. Kindly think over the words of Papa. Low passions. It is a wonderful question, because all of us have been chanting, and whether we have tasted the sweetness or not, if we have really tasted the sweetness, we must have felt his presence. By sweetness, what is meant? Think about it. Second question, how could a Vedantin like Sri Ramana Maharshi, have compassion towards others? Because Vedanta, being a dry subject, sees everything as illusion, has dispassionate outlook, whereas Papa Ramdas, who is into complete Bhakti Yoga, how did he attain Samadhi without the sadhana for Vedantic knowledge? How he could lead a dispassionate life, who is always soaked in love for Ramnam? How both these saints achieved Samadhis with just only one method? Papa's path is Jnanottara Bhakti. Ramana Bhagavan's path also is the same. You remember, he was not seeing the Arunachala hill as Arunachala hill. Because so long as we have got a body, we are an embodied soul. The embodied soul and the ultimate reality, when it exists, the body exists. The Nirguna Nirakara Swarup cannot have a form, So when there is a form, there is a duality. Though rooted in Advaita, non-dual, still they continue to live. Which is, Papa named it as Jnanottara Bhakti.
Swamiji?
Yes?
Swamiji, is Gnana that means that Papa told it slowly dawned upon him that Ram was the only reality. Is that Gnana?
Exactly. At the same time, he said, Ram means, love of Ram means love of all beings. Both we should read. Ram is the only reality. And Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades, sustains the whole universe. He is present in all things and in all creatures who only appear as separate entities. Jnana. But at the same time, bhakti is there. Because the duality still continues. Otherwise it will become dry. So he terms it as Jnanottara Bhakti. So Papa teaches us that this is more sweeter than the other one. Because you are there, a body, a creation is there. In the ultimate, there is no creation or creator, That is the static level. If the static level is there, how can we understand? If the static level is the only there, how can we understand, how can we explain? So static level we are all seeing because we are the dynamic level. We thought dynamic level is the final. So Jnana tells us no. Jnana makes us aware that there is a static principle that is running through the entire dynamic principle. So that is why we say Saguna, Nirguna, or personal, impersonal, all have relevance. Because we are embodied self. The body will ask for water. The body will ask for food. The body would like to purge out what is not needed. So that is there, So long as an embodied self exists, it can be minimum. That is a different thing. But still minimum is necessary, So the duality is there. But at the same time, Adi Shankara, though he brought out everything, he also indirectly encouraged the Saguna form. Who composed Shamala Dandagam? Who composed Reda Sahasranamam? If we go through Bhajagovindam, you will find that. If you go through Vivek Chudamani, he gives you total about Jnana. If you go through Atma Bodh, you try that. But at the same time, he also, because this is the practical one. And when I cross over the bond, I will not be here to discuss, So both of them attained the supreme state. While living within the body, they were able to cross over the boundary. Papa has never condemned the path of knowledge. He has never condemned the path of devotion. He has harmonized the both. Jnana should take us to the stage where then the bhakti starts. That's what he says. So being reflective and meditative and contemplative, we go inward and try to found the Nirguna Tattva, and the Nirguna Tattva encased in a Saguna form. The life principle which is not palpable, awareness, consciousness which is not palpable, intelligence absolute which is not palpable, love, absence of otherness, not palpable, but it is encased in an individual. Na? He touches and kindles all these things in our. The form is necessary to touch and kindle. Even to write about Advaita, Dvaita, somebody should be there to tell us, Think about it. So it is not separate. Vinobaji also came.
Swamiji, it is like kind of like one big love story. We're slowly falling into love, falling in love with the Lord within and within all.
Correct. Yes. In Upanishad, the two bird story, It is we come back again after reaching that stage with a changed perspective. Previously, because of our identification with the body, mind, intellect was there totally, I was unable to understand. But the moment, by His grace, if the sense of individuality realizes that it exists only because of that power, the sense of individuality remains as a sense of individuality, but at the same time getting connected to the inner reality or the all-pervading reality. Both are present. So this is something, it's a beautiful, wonderful question. It is not independent. Vinobaji, in clear-cut terms, he says, it is not independent by itself. Even for our ordinary this tripod is necessary, Bhakti, Jnana and Karma.
Swamiji, avalamban.
Avalamban. So by going within, we will be able to reach some stage. The Jnana takes us to the inward reality through Nama chanting. And then, when Puja Mataji was initiated into the last phases of the sadhana, that means, she was able to completely get over all the low passions. Anything that is defined by the mind, she was able to get over in such a short time because it was intense. But still there was an attachment for the form of Papa, revering that form too much. When Papa cut that also, it had no other attraction for anything in the world. So it went down. And then in the shortest possible time, she was able to still the mind and go within. And she was reveling in that for 3 or 4 hours. Then Papa brought her back and then said, if we remain, Mataji did not want to get out of that state. Then Papa said, no, then it does not become comprehensive. He is static as well as in the dynamic state. So that is why the in-depth study of In Quest of God gives us the final goal as peace and serenity inside, absence of otherness outside. Throughout, always peace and serenity. God in the form of in the inner reality is in the form of peace and serenity. But at the same...
Like the top, Swamiji.
Eh?
Just like the top.
Top, Swamiji.
Tops, correct. Pambaram. So peace and serenity within, absence of otherness without. So when I open my eyes, I see the whole world as the manifestation of the same principle. When I close my eyes, the sense of individuality merges with the peace and serenity, which is the characteristic of my original nature. Both are valid. So long as we are an embodied self, we can term it now as peace and serenity within Ardhanarishwar. No? Both are there existing. Peace and serenity within, love without. Love means absence of otherness without. And when we look with this perspective on our Mahatmas, we find, yes, their life is a testimony for us.
Swamiji, that is why Papa said love, light and bliss.
Love, light and bliss. Light, love and bliss, correct.
Light, love.
First awareness, light. Otherness, absence of otherness, love. And bliss is that state, objectless happiness. OPG somewhat clear now? Very good. Today also it has been very lively because of interactions. So let all our sessions be like this. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Why? Spread the another. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Hari Om to everybody.
Namaskaram, Swamiji.
Namaskaram, namaskaram, namaskaram. Pranam, pranam, pranam.